focus remains on demonetization, and the pictures you're seeing on your screen, cash rates, the government and the income tax continue to recover huge amounts of cash. Scandalously, 14 crores found from a top lawyer's firm, 2.5 crores in new notes, when most people can't even withdraw their own money in cash from ATMs as they're drying up. Even now, where are these people getting so much money in new notes from? Sources are now indicating that in many of these cash seizures, the money could belong to politicians. Is that the big untold story of demonetization? We'll be discussing that on the program today as the politics around demonetization continue. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has a question for the Prime Minister Narendra Babu. She says, how safe is your digital India? In fact, going on to say digital India stands exposed. This after a series of hacks, not just on opposition leaders like Rahul Gandhi, but on NDTV journalists as well. As Mamata Banerjee trains her guns at the BJP's West Bengal president is threatening to drag Mamata Banerjee by the hair, saying that the language that she's been using in recent days, including for the Prime Minister, is unacceptable. On the program today, a little over a month after demonetization, is it still advantage BJP? But first, let's go across to my colleague Siddharth Pandey. He's reporting on that massive cash seizure that the police continues to investigate. Let's bring those pictures up again. 14 crores recovered in cash, 2.5 crores in new notes. This from a major law firm headed by Rohit Tandon. Siddharth, sources now suggesting that this money belonged to the clients of the law firm, and those clients could include senior and well-known politicians.
Well, that's right. In fact, the IT department being absolutely tight-lipped. Let me just show you exactly what this house looks like. It's like any posh house here, except for the fact that it's got this massive barbed wire right around the house. And of course, there's a whole bunch of CCTV cameras. And we believe that when this raid was happening, Mr. Tandon was actually watching this raid unfold through his mobile phone on those CCTVs that were actually beaming it to him live. He actually joined the investigation on Saturday. Many people who live in this neighborhood absolutely amazed at the fact that more than 14 crores in cash was found in this home. It's also an IT firm that Mr. Tandon actually heads. And interestingly, out of those 14 crores, 2 crores in brand new 2,000 rupee currency note. When just down this road, people are having to stand for hours. And if they're very lucky, they'll actually get that one note of 2,000 rupee. So how did almost 13,000 brand new 2,000 currency notes find their way here? We are told by sources, Mr. Tandon, in fact, according to IT officials, saying that he has said he can explain this money. This is money that perhaps belongs to him and his clients, possibly who could be people involved in the land business, in the land development business, and indeed some politicians as well. Right now, of course, the IT officials being very tight-lipped. They're saying that they are interrogating him, that they're actually speaking to him. But we are also told that the finance ministry is very closely watching this for one reason. They want to find out where is this new currency coming from, because it's actually very upsetting, I think, for most of us when people have to just stand in lines for long hours, and yet you have these huge seizures of a brand new currency which is seized in raids like this.
But Siddharth, that's exactly what I was going to ask you, that when you continue to see lines at ATM banks, you continue to see people struggle to get new notes, lower denomination notes, which would make, provide change in the system for those 2,000 rupee notes, still continue to be in short supply. Where are these kind of people getting 2.5 crores in new notes?
Well, that's something that the IT officials will definitely be asking Mr. Tandon, because even if he can explain perhaps who this money belongs to, and of course they'll check whether it was tax paid or not, it was in cash currency form, that itself of course is suspect. And of course you've got brand new notes. We'd actually done several investigations where we had found that people were using the bank route of relatives in the banking system or bankers themselves who were offering to take a percentage cut and actually get new currency out. So in fact, that's something that's happening. We've actually done a couple of sting operations in the past few weeks showing exactly this. Clearly, the fact is that the incentive of making a quick buck is perhaps bigger than the worry of being caught. But that means that for millions of Indians, you really have to wait it out there until your turn comes to actually withdraw your own money from your bank.
All right, Siddharth, we leave it there. Siddharth Pandey bringing us those details on a 14 crore cash seizure from a well-known lawyer, Rohit Tandon. Sources suggesting, Siddharth, are they sharing at all the fact that this money may belong to politicians? I mean, the fact of the matter is the big untold story of demonetization continues to be that cash continues to fund our politics. And for many people, that is the hypocrisy around the black money debate. So when your sources are telling you that this money could have been money that politicians had parked, what further details do you have?
Well, in fact, what they are saying is that he's actually apparently said a few things to the income tax officials. He's talked about the fact that this is again according to sources. So, in fact, we haven't been able to speak to Mr. Tandon because since last evening, he's been actually with them, with the IT department at his own law firm behind me, where he's being questioned at length. But what sources again telling us that he's talked about the fact that it could belong to people linked in the land business, also politicians. In fact, many of them are his clients is what he's actually said. And he's saying all of this can essentially be vouched for. It's all in cash form. Why were these transactions, why were these payments being made in the cash in the first place? Those are going to be big important questions. Of course, many people have actually questioned the fact that a lot of the elections, of course, are fought with a lot of black money. Is this perhaps just one conduit of converting that money, laundering that money from black to white?
All right, Siddharth, we leave it there. Let's go straight to our discussion on the buck stops here this evening. It's a little over a month since the demonetization was brought into force. Is it still advantage BJP? Are they still controlling the narrative around that debate? And is this really going to tackle black money, or is the cure worse than the disease? On the program today, Nalin Kohli of the BJP is with us. Sachin Pilot of the Congress is with us. With me in the studio, senior journalist and editor Shekhar Gupta. Also Sunil Alag, independent strategy consultant, is with us. Mahua Moitra of the Trinamool will be with us in a moment, as will be Imtiaz Jalil, because the MIM is now bringing in a new twist to this debate, saying that the government is not disbursing cash in Muslim minority areas. We'll be looking at that dimension as well. But Nalin, the big picture. And the big picture is you're seeing people like lawyers like Rohit Tandon's firm, 2.5 crores in new notes, 14 crores in cash, while you see ordinary people lining up at banks. You see nearly 12 lakh crores bank in deposits in banks, making people wonder, was either the black money in these denominations overestimated, or has the black money simply been laundered to white by coming back into the system? So you have to step back and ask yourself, was all of this worth it?
Okay. This will take a few minutes because there are 3-4 aspects to it. Just because money goes into the bank doesn't mean it becomes white. I think that's a basic, and I think even as far as the government is concerned, they've come out specifically on that. Somebody may deposit money, but they have to explain the source of the money if they don't have it in their books. If you have no cash in hand and you suddenly come out with a huge figure, you are answerable. Any one of us is answerable. The second part is with regard to huge deposit. Absolutely, I think it only shows that the government mechanism and the machinery is being able to identify people. We've had raids in Chennai, we've had raids in other parts. Lots of money has been caught. New currency, old currency. So, and this is exactly where the investigation will lead. So it is also a fight against corruption. If someone has 2.5 crores, he has to explain how the hell did he get it. When you, me, any one of us go to the bank, we'll get 24,000 per week. So therefore, end of the day, this is, I think that the machinery of the government is working in tandem. And whatever these investigations, people are not going to be able to walk away from them. But the third part you're saying, in terms of the amount of money deposited, the government hasn't come out with any figure which says that we expect only this much to come in. The whole idea is that you are able to hit black money where it is. You are able to frustrate the criminal activity which is around black money. Some of it is terrorist related, some of it is foreign currency related. You are frustrating multiple things, and the last part of it is you are moving, as Mr. Jaitley calls, to the new normal. In the new normal, there is an important aspect of digital transactions, to which I'm sure you'll ask a question later to what Mamata Banerjee is, as Chief Minister is saying. But if a hacking takes place in Yahoo or in Hillary Clinton's account, that does not mean that the digital economy of the United States has collapsed. So I think we need to look at it in totality without emotions and see that this is a large picture benefit which is changing the transactional way of how people do work in India in terms of the tax net, in terms of black money, And I think it's good for the banking system.
Okay, well, as one of the journalists who was hacked, I don't think I ever suggested that the economy is collapsing, but I think that what happened with my bank statement being put on Twitter, for example, today,
It's not correct.
does
hacking
raise very
and it's
serious
malicious and it's
questions.
not
Does
correct.
raise very serious questions about how private our data is and can be. But we can get to that later. This program is not about me, but it is about larger issues. And I want to bring in Sachin Pilot on this. As Sachin, the fact of the matter is that the BJP may well still control the narrative. There are enough reporters, our teams included, who've gone into areas, and while people are angry and they are talking about hardships, they are also saying that, all right, we're willing to give this some more time. Now, we can argue on economics, but there's also a political dimension here. Is the opposition failing to wrest the narrative from the government?
Not at all. I think there are two things one has to figure out. One is that on November 8th, this country was told a very noble stated objective of fighting corruption, black money, forged notes from across the border, terror activities. And that was the emotional appeal that the Prime Minister gave of having this unprecedented sort of demonetization plan. Now, the goalposts have shifted since then. It's now becoming a cashless economy, digital economy, e-wallets, banking applications, smart money, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I think the narrative in the beginning was all about emotions and patriotism. One of the most ill-planned, ill-conceived idea was to demonetize at such short notice and to do it with the kind of lack of planning that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
So when you say it's frustration, it's 100 people who have died trying to get money from their own money from the bank account. There is no law in this country which prohibits you from taking your money out of the banks. Look at the confidence people have lost in the system, because now we are hearing that even the 2,000 rupees will be stopped. So the confusion, the arbitrary decision making, 105 times the RBI has changed the norms of how much to take out, what you can deposit, ceiling on gold.
Yeah.
So the confusion created versus the net gain, I think, and also net gain in what sense? I'm still watching terror activities in the LOC. People are still getting attacked. Our nation is under threat on the border areas. So the objective stated was different. What's happening today is different. And frankly speaking, there should be a debate in Parliament where the Prime Minister must come and answer on the floor of the House.
Yeah.
This letting a few sources say out things and a few statements coming out is not helping anybody.
Okay.
This sort of planning should have been done months ago. Unfortunately, even today, the country is desperate for cash, and not all cash is black money, and not all black money is in cash.
I'll
There's an
allow
important
Nalin a
difference
brief
that I think the
interjection,
BJP
and then I do
people are
have to.
missing
Okay, Nalin, a very brief interjection, then I do have to go to Mahua and Shekhar and Sunil. Go ahead, Nalin.
Well, maybe I was thinking of Alice in Wonderland. Some of the arguments were simplistic, not expected, of course, I'd say. It's not a personal comment on Sachinji, but I'm just simply saying, I mean, in 9/11, did terrorism stop in the world after the US went out of it? But does that mean you don't go after this? The funny thing here is the Congress party should actually say, we'd like also a discussion on why is there black money. So they are attacking the cure without having taken any action on killing black money earlier. They couldn't even form an SIT for 3 years, which was done by Narendra Modi.
But there's a valid question
We are
here.
the opposition, Nalin.
Nalin,
You
there's
were
a
not
valid
voted to
question here.
demonetize. You voted to govern.
Nalin, there's
But
a
if you
valid
say about the
question
Prime
here.
Minister speaking, my last comment on the
Yes.
Prime Minister.
Yes.
Certainly, I think we've seen the spectacle of Parliament. It's taken even the first citizen of this country to speak about it. You can't have a scenario where the goalposts on speaking in Parliament are about, earthquakes and other things. I'm sure there will be a good discussion in Parliament if the opposition is interested in a discussion and not interested in stalling it.
Okay, now I need to bring in the others. We can return to some of these points, but I think there's a valid point somewhere here. That has the goalpost shifted since demonetization was announced. Mahua, let me bring you in. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course, Barkha, when you've got a goalpost that is made of jelly, it's not going to stand. It's not going to stand much duress, right? So that's exactly what's happened. We have to remember when the Prime Minister made his address to the nation on the 8th of November, there were 4 things that were pointed out. The first was that this was going to hit at black money. Though only 6% of all black money, at best estimate, was supposed to be in cash.
Yeah.
So how demonetizing 86% of money supply was going to help curtail 6% of black money is anybody's guess,
Yeah.
number one. The second thing he talked about was terrorist financing. I think terrorist activities have still gone on. The third was counterfeit currency. Only 0.02% of money was in counterfeit, and there's nothing to stop people from counterfeiting the new notes.
Yeah.
So that's a different process altogether.
Yeah.
The fourth that they came out and said was, this is going to lead to a digital economy. Let's look at it first now from the point of view of the digital economy. 59% of India is unbanked. 81% of all of point-of-sale terminals in India are controlled by 5 big banks.
Yeah.
You have only 2 lakh ATMs in India, of which only 37,000 are in rural areas. 80% of rural India doesn't have access to a bank. With an infrastructure like this presently, how is it possible to move to digital? How can a person run or sprint when even basic walking steps are not possible? This is something that the government has got to think about.
Yeah.
It's absolutely laughable that we're sitting here talking about moving to digital overnight when basic checks and balances, when indeed the basic building blocks are not in place. I mean, surely the nation can see that.
Now, we've seen a very big statement from Mamata Banerjee today on Twitter saying, Modi Babu, your digital India stands exposed. She was, of course, responding to the recent hacking controversies, and we will address those. But Shekhar, the big picture, you've been talking about this shifting goalpost in your columns, in your arguments. And indeed, the goalpost, some would say, has shifted. The BJP would say, well, it was always meant to be about black money, but also moving towards a cashless economy. A little over a month over, where does the narrative stand?
Well, it could also ultimately be about moving to smaller notes that fit in the wallet. I've seen that also, that the new 2,000 rupee note fits in the wallet. So you can keep saying that. This is a very big step. It is the first democracy. It's the first country in the history of democracy to demonetize its currency at this level. We've done it in the past, but only very limited.
Yeah.
This is 86% of your currency. When you destroy confidence in your legal tender, there has to be very good need for it, very good purpose behind it, and frankly, need and purpose we can argue about, very good homework behind it. There's been no homework, and now it looks like nobody even can say for sure what the presumptions were of black money, what the presumptions were of money that will be exposed. It was just a nuclear weapon used on behind a mountain where a terrorist was expected to be, rumored to be hiding, right? And unmindful of the fact that there was a whole capital city behind that, right? I'm using sort of a simple example, but this looks like this whole idea, the whole exercise was based on urban legends. And it is now coming out. Look at the kind of people that BJP is putting forward to defend its policy. These are ideologues of the RSS. These are people. Frankly,
why does that make them less qualified?
Well,
if they're ideologues of the RSS?
In my view, if somebody talks on economics, has to have some peer-reviewed research. Otherwise, it's a bit like homeopathy, right? So
demonetization like homeopathy.
No, it's not like homeopathy. It's like some surgery sort of in the pre-anesthesia age. But a larger issue is we have Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India also has a global academic and intellectual reputation. Now there is no secrecy left. Now this act has been carried out. At least Reserve Bank of India should share for debate with the rest of us and the rest of the world the arguments and data that went behind taking this decision.
I think that's a fair point.
Because RBI said that this was based on a recommendation by the RBI board. Frankly, RBI board meetings minutes are subject to RTI. So if they're subject to RTI, why is RBI not releasing at least the research it carried out?
I think that's a fair question, but let me just bring in Sunil Alag and then we'll go back to Nalin and Sachin and Mahua. Sunil, you were somebody who passionately defended the decision to demonetize. You said, the implementation could be better. We can focus a little more on the execution. But now, with the benefit of hindsight, do you still hold that view?
No, look, as far as I'm concerned, what Shekhar is saying, look at the people who are being put forward to defend it. You've got the Ambanis. One second. You've got a lot of industrialists. You've got Aditya Puri of HDFC Bank. You've got a lot of people coming out and saying it's a good move. 1 second, please. Can I just finish saying, Shekhar, you've said that.
No one's interrupting you. You're probably getting somebody else's voice.
It's a good move. You've got enough people saying it's a bad move.
Yeah.
It's never happened. I agree with. Okay, fine. I'll just go on. So what I'm trying to say is that, look, at this point of time, it's never been done anywhere in the world. Shekhar is right. My view is that, look, as far as Mr. Modi is concerned, he plans his moves. If it is only demonetization, it's going to be a complete disaster, and I completely agree with everybody. But I think Mr. Modi is going to follow demonetization with some land, whatever are the circle rates, in terms of what are people going to be doing, followed by the 1st of February with the budget, whether the tax base increases, if he reduces the tax, within 1 or 2 months, by 1st of February, according to me, we'll be able to form a judgment whether this has worked or not worked once the budget is announced.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there is a problem. Of course, there's a problem because there's not enough cash and people are standing in lines, and that is why most of the people around India are saying we'll suffer. But to come out and say this is the worst move ever, I don't think we are in a position to say that today. That's all I'm turning around and saying. There are enough people. Let's wait and watch. If it's only demonetization, bad move. But surely Mr. Modi is not thinking of only demonetization. And I think India needs, he talks about homeopathy. Nothing works in India unless it's an allopathic system. Homeopathy has never worked. All this persuasion, let us talk to people, you can carry on for the 25 years. Some people will say no, and I said this earlier. There was the old Malaysian Prime Minister who came along, too much of democracy. Everyone has an opinion in India, no decisions are taken.
What does that mean?
Ultimately,
Come on,
this man has come, he's taken it, he's put
Sunil,
his
this
neck
is my
on the line.
problem with this
We have
debate
the
and
option of
all
throwing him
debates.
out if things
No,
go
I have
wrong.
to interrupt you there. What do you mean?
Now,
There is no
one
such
second.
thing
So
as
all I'm
too much
saying is,
democracy.
once-
What does
no,
it
no, no,
mean?
no,
Malaysia, tell us what
No,
democracy
once-
is. Do you
Okay.
live in Malaysia? Please go and live in Malaysia.
This is like
No, once-
demonetization being made
Okay,
into a
okay.
test of
Can I-
nationalism
can
and
I just turn
patriotism,
around
right?
and say what I mean by
this is
Malaysia
Can I
doesn't
just
have
define
democracy.
what
I'm
even
sorry.
the Malaysian, every single thing. What
What does too much
Every-
democracy even mean? What does it mean to say
One-
too much?
okay,
This
you
is
see,
like
Barkha
people
has
saying
asked
in
me a
emergency
question,
the
let me
trains
answer
ran
it
on
and then
time,
you all
right?
can all
It's
get
like
into
saying
the
during the
debate.
emergency the
One
trains ran on
second,
time.
all right, okay, the question is the same that everybody's asked. Can I just answer it? Look at what is happening in Parliament. Nowhere else, including the BJP. I'm not saying whether BJP is right, Congress or BJP did it earlier, we do it earlier. Everyone has a view. No decisions are taken. You stop Parliament from working. This, according to me, is too much democracy. It's about time a decision has been taken, have a proper debate, and go ahead and move with it. This is crying and whining. We'll carry on till the cows come home. Oh, we should have done this. Oh, we should have done that. It's done. Now we have to wait and see over the next couple of months whether it's right, whether it's wrong. Definitely the tax base will increase. 100% I can guarantee you.
I need to
instead of
go to
only
the others
3%
now,
paying tax,
okay, Sachin,
with
I'll bring
this,
you in and
the
then
tax
Nalin.
will become larger, the liquidity of the banks will improve,
Thank you, Sunil.
the tax rates will come down.
Sachin,
That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Sachin, the fact is that the opposition has been as guilty, in stalling parliament, as the government. I think both sides have to hold blame for that. Secondly, there is a problem with the moral positions that the Congress or, the other parties in your coalition can take on the issue of corruption. And for a lot of people looking at this, whether they agree with demonetization or not, they don't believe the opposition enjoys that moral authority. Isn't that part of the problem right now for parties like yours? Given the scams that you're coming out of in your last tenure in government.
Fair enough. I heard your question. Now, given how much moral standing we have with the people of India, let the elections decide that. We lost the last election. You think we have no moral authority, but I think we have a legal and a constitutional authority to ask the question to the government of India. Now, the Prime Minister says that he is not allowed to speak. He's got full majority in Parliament. All we want him is to come and speak and not just run away, answer questions, have a voting. If you have a majority, decide on Parliament floor of the House whether this whole demonetization process was good or bad. Let there be voting. That's all we are saying, number one. Number two, you're saying that we are guilty of certain things so we can't ask questions. Now, who's to judge that? All we are saying is that Congress party is very, very clear. We don't even want a rollback. All we are saying is ill-planned, ill-conceived, listen to us, talk to other people, include decision makers into the whole strategy and then move forward. Corruption, terrorism, Naxalism, drug mafia, who can be supporting it? We all oppose it. But is this the best way to do it? You shaken up the confidence. Forget about e-banking and banking apps and e-wallet. What about people who are pulling rickshaws, people who are on the streets? 60% of people live on daily wages. They have nowhere to go and people are dying and you're saying it's a little frustration. We've got to think beyond. We've got to be responsive to what's happening today. And in 2 months' time, you keep asking for time, people are suffering, the whole economy is shrinking, demand is slowing down, people are being laid off, wages are falling. We're heading towards economic negativity where we don't deserve to be. This country deserves better. We should have moved forward and taken other steps to tackle this
I think that's fair to
issue.
bring in Nalin. And Nalin, I will couple this with a quote from...
because it's going to become too complex an answer.
Respond to
Ask after
Sachin
my
first
comment.
and then after that. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
It'll become too complex.
Okay,
let's first go. People absolutely deserve better. And I'm sure they deserve better from the economic model that we saw over a decade. Nobody here is even getting into the debate of why is there black money in this country and why are people suffering it, or into the other debate, why do people not have bank accounts? Was it rocket science to open bank accounts since 1972 when the nationalization of banks happened? I mean, everyone runs down a government that is taking a step, a cure for killing an ill. But nobody is willing to say, I take responsibility that I am also part of that ill which got created. That's the fundamental issue here. If you're talking of the digital economy and you say, let's go by step, in 70 years, have we provided even drinking water to every Indian citizen? What about education? What about housing? What about banking? So are we to wait for the next 700 years before at the state, which by the way was called the Hindu rate of growth, not because the BJP was there, because the Congress had given us the Hindu rate of growth, which was a rundown phrase. So I think what we have here is we have a phenomenal situation. Everyone wants to attack the cure. Nobody wants to say that yes, we realize there's an ill. And everyone says let's go in a linear manner. And if you believe that Mr. Modi as Prime Minister didn't think this out, then how is it that the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana thought about let's have accounts for every person who doesn't have an account?
But the Jan Dhan Yojana has seen a 37,000 crore surge since this was announced, which is obviously black money being laundered into white, with the Prime Minister then told the poor people, you keep this money. You keep this money, right?
Right, hold on. So therefore, the same thing was first said, oh, there are zero accounts. You don't have an account, so you can't therefore have a balance in an account. Now the zero balance accounts have reduced. It's like telling somebody don't learn driving till you buy a car.
Over 30,000
you have to start getting for financial inclusion.
Okay, I need to ask you
start
something.
getting the smartphones there. As I said, and even a small percentage of India becomes a sizable economy. Who says that 100% will become digital tomorrow?
Nalin, now your West Bengal BJP president has said the following. Had we wanted, we could have dragged Mamata by the hair, thrown her out. When she was continuing her theatrics in Delhi, we could have dragged her by the hair. A chief minister using such words for the Prime Minister is not right. This is the West Bengal BJP president. Nalin.
Well, I could say, I mean, certainly not very elegant language, but perhaps looking at the kind of language we are seeing emanating from the state of Bengal, from all these functionaries in the Trinamool, maybe everyone there has developed this discourse. So maybe it's best they all sit down together and say, let's set the discourse and not have this kind of thing.
This is your party's president in West Bengal.
Yes, as I'm saying, I've also seen a video of Mamata ji, which I don't think is very elegant either, in terms of what, holding a constitution.
This is violence. This is threatening violence. This is not about the elegance of language alone.
First point, Barkha, again I'll repeat myself, it's not elegant language. I would certainly not speak this kind of language. As far as I'm saying, the next thing is that I'm finding a lot of people in Bengal from the Trinamool, no less than even the Chief Minister. They are not using elegant language, I would say. So maybe it's good they should all sit down and say, let's define what good language is. Everybody will have a good discourse.
Now, Mamata Banerjee has gone on Twitter after a series of hackings, and there could be one in a series of many. There could be more to come, saying Digital India stands exposed. As journalists are coming under hacks, of course, that includes me. It includes my colleague Ravish Kumar. The opposition has been hacked. Vijay Mallya has been hacked. But she's focusing on the media and saying that this is a sign that Modi Babu, to quote her, Digital India is exposed. Now, the fact of the matter is security, privacy, these are big questions. These are legitimate questions. But do you accept what Nalin is saying, that the rhetoric of even Mamata Banerjee has gone beyond the pale?
I think the Honourable BJP spokesperson, his arguments are like, he's arguing before the bench of the King's, the court of the King's bench under Charles I. I mean, he's got to defend a despot. He's got to defend the actions of a demagogue.
Those are strong words. Now you're calling the Prime Minister a despot and you're objecting to the party president using language. None of you seem to watch your language.
This is so funny.
Can I?
Yeah, finish your point. But I'm just pointing out.
Can I finish, please?
Yes.
Can I finish this, please? Can I finish this, please?
Yes.
I don't think my definition doesn't hit the spot here, because I do think that this is a Prime Minister that has stood up and taken a decision which has done nothing but wreak havoc for this country. It was not based on economic policy. It was not based in law. And they are in a situation now when they simply cannot control the consequences of their own action. So I do think in this case, to come out and say that this was well thought out economic policy or well thought out any policy which was put together by a cabinet, which was backed by the RBI, I think is laughable. So I don't think my words are ill-picked or ill-chosen at all. I think they're extremely, so that's number one. I think that's the first thing. The second thing that we have to remember here, I think what the Chief Minister, the Honourable Mamata Banerjee, has come out and said is that the basic infrastructure in India is not in place to go towards a digital economy tomorrow, which is what the Prime Minister seems to be pushing. That he seems to be depriving the system of cash. You've taken out 15.5 lakh crores. So far, The government has only put in 5 lakh crores. You've got a deficit of 10.5 lakh crores, and you're telling people, please go digital. When you don't have the infrastructure, when you don't have the security systems in place, when you don't have privacy guards in place, to come out and to say this is ludicrous, which is exactly what she's alluding to, and I don't think she's making any mistake on that.
Nalin, I think before I come to Shekhar, a brief response there. One, of course, Mamata Banerjee saying this is a despotic decision, and she stands by that language. Secondly, I think there is an all-important issue of privacy here, and I'll let you come in on that. It's not about individuals, it's not about me, Ravish, it's not about Rahul Gandhi, it's not about Malia. It's about the fact that tomorrow your bank account, your tax-paid earned income, somebody hacks into your system, is out there for everyone to see. You could take the position, as I have taken, nothing to hide, fine. But there are people who feel this is their private space.
But you're making it sound, Barkha, and you're making a fundamental error.
Which
and
is?
I'm sorry to say that, my friend.
Which is?
You are making an error of just making a presumption that the BJP or any one of us are behind it. It's absolutely condemnable.
I didn't say that.
No, you haven't, but there's a fundamental, because you're saying,
I didn't say that.
at the beginning I said it's incorrect.
Are our systems secure?
Yes.
Are our systems secure?
Well, I mean, they are as safe or as secure as anyone else in the world, including Hillary Clinton or Snowden or whatever, WikiLeaks. I mean, in the best of the economies, there's no 100% security. There's no 100% guarantee also that I'm sitting here and the fan could fall on my head and that's the end of me. There's no guarantee in life. But that what is wrong is wrong. There is no. How can you defend somebody hacking into somebody's space? How can you defend somebody coming in there and posting out private information? Obviously not. This is not, and there are agencies to do their job. Some of them do it very well in short time. Some of them don't, because you are unable to do it because of international limits and kind of things. I mean, in spite of the best countries, you have Julian Assange sitting in a embassy in the United States, United Kingdom. But my next point is, of course, I was amused. I apologize. I had to laugh so loudly. But I've not heard on television channel that I'm an advocate in the times of Charles or somebody like that. I do practice, and the bench is, of course, much more current, whether it's the Supreme Court or the High Court or other tribunals.
Okay, all right, Shekhar, let's bring you in. We also have Imtiaz Jaleel, and we'll go to him in a moment. But, step back. You brought in the metaphor of a nuclear weapon, obviously metaphorically, right? Is this going to do harm? Let's say for a moment, okay, it may not, the goalpost has shifted, it's only 6% of black money is in cash. In any case, you weren't going to achieve that much till you tackle property. But Sunil Alak made an important point. How do you know this is where it ends? This may only be a beginning.
Well, first of all, that's also a problem, but I'll come to that. I think Nalin said that so many industrialists have supported this policy.
I didn't.
No, Sunil Alak.
Sunil said, find me one industrialist in the history of India, starting with 1947, who criticized any policy of the government.
Of any government, yes.
If you say that everybody with the turnover of over 1,000 crores.
Deepak Parekh has criticized it.
Well, he initially praised it.
Criticized it. Ratan Tata hasn't.
He's not an
Shekhar, don't mislead.
No, Deepak Parekh is not an industrialist. He's a retired,
but all right, so Deepak Parekh has criticized it now.
Okay, let's move on. I need to go to Imtiaz. Yeah.
He's not an industrialist. So no industrialist.
He's not an industrialist.
Every budget.
Now we'll get into a definition of an industrialist.
Every finance minister gets 9 out of 10. Right? So let's leave Indian industry aside. Second, I didn't say that you need homeopathy. I used homeopathy as
disparagingly,
as a metaphor to say there is no peer-reviewed research. You just work on faith. You cannot work on faith. Third, the problem with this is, and Sunil is perhaps right to say that wait 3 months because many more things may happen. That's not the way big economies and serious sovereign countries conduct their business. Because large countries do not bring unpredictability in their governance. Because just think about it. It's a point that I did not think of, but it's a point that Andy Mukherjee made. Is a good columnist on Bloomberg. Is a good economic columnist. He said that today you've taken away the legal tender status of your currency. Basically, you have now disowned your currency.
The promissory note.
Yes. Now, if I was a foreign investor, FII, which has brought billions and billions of dollars into Indian bonds, bulk of the investments in India come in Indian bonds. What is there to stop me from thinking that if these guys can disown their currency, why can't they disown their bonds tomorrow? So this kind of unpredictability is not good for a country. You don't want your bond prices crashing. You don't want people walking out. If more jolts are given, we will become, maybe we'll do well in the end, who knows. But we will become a much more insulated, much more Swadeshi economy and much more Swadeshi country.
Now, in a dimension we haven't discussed on the program so far, and Sunil, forgive me, I need to go
Just
to
a quick comment, please.
Okay, Nalin, one sentence. I really have to go to
Yeah,
Imtiaz
it's only
after
one
that.
sentence,
Yeah.
just to simply say,
Yeah.
look, I don't think we should drag homeopathy, and it's come out multiple times. I think whether it's Unani, homeopathy, Ayurveda,
Yes.
allopathy,
Yes.
each one
Fair.
has benefits, and I've
Yes.
tried each one, and I think, let's not
Fair.
drag a
Okay.
form of
No,
medicine.
that's faith.
Do the rest
you
of it
have
there.
faith. You have faith, but
Okay,
no
okay,
research.
that's
No,
a
but I'm
different
saying it's pretty
discussion.
effective, I must say that.
Okay, guys,
and I
that's a
currently
different
also, I think, very
conversation.
highly
Different
of it.
conversation.
But I couldn't stop it. Yeah, I think it
Imtiaz
keeps getting again and again.
Imtiaz Jalil, Asaduddin Owaisi is now bringing in a religious conspiracy to this, saying the government is not disbursing cash in Muslim areas. Imtiaz, this is not responsible politics. This is not responsible politics. You are injecting a communal divide. There, you could argue about an economic divide. You could say the poor are suffering the most. You could say my class of people don't suffer because we have enough plastic. But how can you make this about Hindus and Muslims, Imtiaz?
Well, Barkha, we want the government to correct us if we are wrong in this. But the fact is, everybody knows, whether it's in Delhi, whether it's in Mumbai, whether it's Pune, Aurangabad or Hyderabad, if you look at the Muslim-dominated localities, you won't find nationalized banks. There are n number of localities in my area, in my city, where there is not even a cooperative bank in that area. And you know this. And it's not that I am saying this. Even the government-appointed committees, whether it was the Sachar Commission, which on page number 123 to 138, if it was Kundu Commission from page number 146 to 149, all they have said is that in Muslim-dominated areas,
Yes.
banks are not opening their branches. They are declaring those areas as red zones. Remember, these are government-appointed committees. So obviously, when there are no bank branches in these areas, there can't be any
Could it
number
be,
of
Imtiaz?
ATMs
Imtiaz,
in those
it could
areas.
be. May I just come in here? It could be that there are neighborhoods that are more socially, economically backward. They are poorer neighborhoods, and they also have a high Muslim population. That does not mean that there is a conspiracy to not disburse cash. The suggestion or the problem in Mr. Owaisi's comments is that this is deliberate. Are you saying it's deliberate? And are you saying that with a sense of responsibility?
Well, let's make this very clear. We are not blaming the government for this, because ultimately the responsibility of depositing the money in ATMs has been leased out to private companies. There are two companies who have been given this contract. One is Logicash and the other is CMS.
Right.
Now, it's for both these companies to come out with the details that this amount has been deposited in these areas. We want
Barkha, I must come in.
This.
Yeah.
Let the government come out with a clarity on this, that these are the areas, these are the ATMs where this much amount has been deposited.
Okay, because
the fact is,
you
getting
said you're not
feedback
blaming
from
the government.
Barkha, I must come in.
Yes, I'm coming to you, Nalin.
Then why?
Imtiaz, you said
why
you-
there are no ATMs, and
Imtiaz.
whatever ATMs are there in these localities, there is just no cash. And the same people,
I need to
the
go to
people
Nalin.
from my locality go to other areas, there they are finding the cash. So something somewhere is wrong. Please,
Okay.
we will
Nalin
be
and then
very
Sachin.
happy
Sachin's
if
been
the
waiting a long
government
time, but
stands
I'll bring in
corrected and tell us that yes, this is the problem and this is the amount that has been deposited.
Barkha, I need to come in.
Yeah, I'm bringing you in. I just want to quote what Mr. Owaisi said exactly. He said the Muslim community is being unnecessarily troubled. This is how Jagran's site is quoting him. Muslim community is being unnecessarily troubled by government through demonetization. The government has not dispersed cash in minority-dominated areas. Nalin, go ahead.
I've certainly not liked many of the comments of what the colleague on the other side has said, so I hope he'll have the patience to listen to what I'm saying. He may not like many parts of it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem the Muslim community has is the Muslim leadership that goes out for them, because this is the exact problem of it. I mean, whether you look at the issue of terrorism, it's a problem coming from those who are following Islam. It doesn't mean Islam is responsible for it, but nobody goes out and addresses it. If you look at them, they all build this persecution mentality. If you look at development or you look at personal law, anything, it's always the leadership there that has a problem, and then they use this whole thing and say the Muslim community is being dominant. So I mean, a person who dies of terrorism of any religion, including Islam, including Hinduism, Christianity or this, what is their viewpoint about it? Who's fighting it from within Islam? So everyone tries to make a political comment without thinking of the implications of how dangerous it is. Why would anybody want to ever do something against an Indian citizen? Because this country runs on the constitution, which has given an equal right to every citizen.
Yes.
Why would this country, which runs on the constitution, go out there and say we are going to now trouble a person from a Muslim community?
I think it's a fair
The
point
leadership
you're
of the Muslim community knows that only on a persecution mindset that they can probably do. What are their achievements to show that they've done good something that have got them out of them, helped them get on development, as other communities are
I
doing?
think you make a fair point, Nalin. I actually do think you're making a fair point. There is a kind of siege mentality we're playing to here. But I'll bring in Sachin, Sunil and Shekhar, and then Imtiaz can come back. And Sachin, go ahead.
I want to make a point, Barkha.
Well, I think the comments made about money not being specifically targeted to a religious community, I think that's not the kind of discourse we need. Frankly, in my personal opinion, I believe everyone is suffering. Yes, the poorer are suffering the most. It's a common thing. But to bring a religious discussion into the whole debate doesn't add value anyway. I think we should talk about classes of people, localities of people, and economic deprivation of people. And the short point is that people are suffering, period. Let the government at least realize that this 3-month period, 6-month period, ultimately we'll all do better. This sort of ham-headed approach has caused us this harm. And just last point, in my research, whatever I've done, only 2 countries have demonetized like this. One was Libya, other was Zimbabwe. And I think one of them recalled the demonetisation. So we don't need to be a $2 trillion economy to have done this to gain little.
Yeah. So, Sunil, would you accept at least, that this long-run reference doesn't give comfort to those who are suffering? I mean, Manmohan Singh, of course, quoted John Maynard Keynes and said, in the long run, we're all dead.
There is something else that Keynes said.
Which is?
No, but the long run
I
is only a
changed my
couple
mind
of
as
months. I'm
facts
not
change.
even
What do
talking
you
about
do, sir?
years. I don't know where Manmohan Singh has got the idea of long run. He's quoting Keynes.
Yeah.
All that economics is not going to work. One second. I was just going to say that, look, all I'm saying is that wait till the budget on the 1st of February.
Yeah.
If that's not a good budget, if that doesn't take into account all the money that's come in, if that doesn't generate demand, if that doesn't do all the stuff that it's supposed to do, then I'm with you. But nobody's got the patience of even doing it. They've already said in 1 month, worst move in the world, everything is destroyed. Of course people are in pain. Look, I've said it in the beginning, it could have been executed better, but it's been done.
Yeah.
Now that it's done, instead of whining away to blazes about what happened, everybody should make constructive suggestions. I will tell you, I'm mentoring one second, very quickly, I'm mentoring one person with a phone. You don't need a smartphone, and how you can do it. And he's got everything ready. I'm taking it to the government next week. Look, everybody in the village can get going. In Bombay, every auto guy now is getting the Paytm or X or a wallet. Everyone is moving towards that. You're being compelled to move. Great. We are moving to a banking system.
Yeah.
The money has come in. Money is neither black nor white. It becomes black when you don't pay tax. It's white as long as you pay tax. At least it's getting into the system. The income tax guys are moving in. They're questioning everybody. Give it 2 months. I'm saying till the 1st of Feb. I'm not saying long run to June or July.
Imtiaz
All of the
to
companies,
rebut
all
what
the
he's heard, and
business
then
they lost in
Mawar
November
Shah.
and December already seeing a pickup in demand in the second half. So let's go on with
Can I
it.
make
Okay,
one point?
one second. Imtiaz, I think Sachin makes a valid
Can I make a
point.
quick point, Barkha?
Yeah, just 1 second. Imtiaz, please come in. Why don't you talk about class divide or an economic sort of classification? Why are you making this religious? I really do think that's disturbing.
Well, Barkha, let me tell you, to counter what Mr. Nalin has said, it's very easy to blame the Muslim politicians and Muslim leadership. The fact is, even you know, and I can challenge everybody on the panel to move around in Muslim-dominated areas and see how many banks and how many ATMs actually exist. Doesn't that mean that we are also part of India, and we also want the people of our community also to be part of this entire process of the banking system? The fact is, there are no banks in these areas, and if at all there are banks, then everybody knows that there are 3 types of categories that are enlisted in those areas. One is white, grey and red zone. If you happen to be from a particular community, then you are regarded in the red category and you're not eligible for loans. Obviously, when these systems exist, how can you expect the country to develop? It's very easy to charge them. And what are we saying? We are saying, had there been number of ATMs in the Muslim-dominated areas, Muslim localities also, we wouldn't have faced that many problems.
Barkha, I'd like to respond.
There are no ATMs in our areas.
Can
there
I
are
come in,
no
please, Barkha?
and I can give you n number of localities from my city.
Yeah.
I can challenge everybody. on the
I'm
panel
just
to
saying
come
it's
and
not
see.
deliberate.
There are lakhs
I'm
and lakhs
saying
of
there
people
could be
living
a
in those
coincidence
areas.
of
Don't they
economic.
deserve a bank and an ATM in their areas also?
Okay,
Why
Mawa,
this
I'll bring you in.
discrimination?
I'll bring you in. I think the problem I have is with any suggestion that it's deliberate or that it's planned. You know, the fact that many Muslims live on the margins of economic development is well known. It's well documented. The Sachar Commission report has documented. That's not what I'm disputing. I'm not disputing the poverty among large sections of the Muslim community. I'm disputing converting it into a weapon to attack demonetization to suggest is deliberate. Mawa, go ahead. Mawa.
Yeah, it's quite amusing to hear people talking about Keynes here. I think we should remember something else Keynes said. He said, when the facts change, I change my mind. What do you do, sir? So I'd like to ask the BJP this question. You started out on the 8th of November saying that this problem would be over, but in 50 days' time you were completely equipped to deal with the problem, that you would get a large sum of money which would not come back into the system, which would be a windfall gain. We've seen out of the 15.4 lakh crores, already about 12.5 lakh have come in. Your own revenue secretary has come out and said that he expects the entire amount to be coming. So that argument has fallen flat on its face. Till today, almost 40 days after the announcement, what do we see? We see only 35% of ATMs are able to dispense with the amount of cash that a person needs.
No.
Only 35%. So
No.
the facts on the ground have changed. Have you changed your mind and come out and said it's a mistake? No, you haven't. The second thing is quite amusing to hear Mr. Kohli talk about constitutional and the constitutional rights of citizens in this country. The last time I checked, Article 300A of the Constitution covers the right to movable property, which cannot be taken away except in law, and the cash is part of movable property. You have deprived citizens of their right of access to their own cash. This is against my constitutional right.
Okay, Shekhar
So,
and then
sir,
Nalin.
please,
Shekhar
I
and
think
No,
then
I
Nalin.
need to answer multiple
all right,
points here,
Nalin,
please.
Nalin, but
Please.
let Shekhar get a word in and then you can answer all of them. Shekhar, yeah.
Sure.
See, this is a very major step. 86% of the country's currency was killed overnight. In fact, the expression Prime Minister used was, "Oh, kagaz ho jayegi," right? This cannot be done on the basis of some mantras or on the basis of some dreams, on the basis of faith, on the basis of urban legends. So now that it's been done, you can understand the need for secrecy until it was done. Now it's been done for more than a month. In 3 weeks, this period will be over. This is a country with some transparency. Even the proceedings of monetary committee, monetary policy committee are made public all over the world. We are in a globalized economy. By this time, I think the biggest loss here is the destruction of RBI's credibility. RBI should be talking not just to us as in Indians, but to the rest of the world, saying why they did it. If it's their board that recommended it, what was the data basis which they took this really radical step, right? And let that be debated. In fact, Parliament should be debating that, but for that some data should be available.
Yeah.
You cannot.
And the invisibility of the RBI governor has not helped matters.
No, but don't personalize. Let's not personalize it. The point is that an issue like this, the answer to this can't be wait for 3 months. Answer to this is a Prime Minister should come, explain in Parliament, but explain the basis and give some data.
Okay.
Without all that, this is Jadoo economics. I'm sorry, and I don't believe in Jadoo medicine. I don't believe in Jadoo economics.
All right, Nalin, I think we'll give you the last word.
Okay, first of all I think Mahua has not got her figures right. 80,000 ATMs had been recalibrated more than 9 days ago. And 80,000 out of 2,10,000 is a pretty high figure. That figure is close to 1 point.
No. Recalibration is not the same as dispensing
I
money.
know I'm going to make a logical argument. You may not like that, but let me make my argument. So therefore, that's the first point about it. These are figures coming out of fiction. Second is, if you are quoting the Constitution and right to property, the Constitution also and under right to life makes it very clear that you don't need to have criminals roaming around freely like you see in Murshidabad, Malda, etc. Bomb blasts happening when they have to and the police not even doing anything when dreaded terrorists. Where was the biggest kingpin of fake currency found? West Bengal. No surprise. So therefore, I think, these are arguments being made for the sake of arguments. They have to, because they don't have a choice. Their own leader has taken a maximalist position in which there is more rhetoric, less substance. But she's entitled to. Okay, let's now go to what Imtiaz is saying. Imtiaz is saying that I have a problem with that argument right out and out. How many letters has he or his leader ever written and worked over the last so many years they've been MPs or MLAs to say we want more bank branches opened, gone met with banks and got them opened? How many people's accounts they opened before the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana came so that those people in their areas whom they represent, they could have said we got you financial inclusion. They won't do that. But they'll say a Muslim is an under trial, so there is a communal agenda. But a Hindu who's an under trial is not a communal agenda. anyone who is false in jail or anyone who's suffering as an Indian citizen
Okay,
is not
I'll allow
correct. Where does
Imtiaz
the
a
Hindu
brief
Muslim
response.
come?
I do have
And
to
the
end.
last part, everyone's quoting Dr. Manmohan Singh
Yes.
and constantly saying in the long run we are dead.
Yes.
I think we should look at it with a broader vision. Dr. Manmohan Singh, besides being an economist, as the Prime Minister of India, is a political personality.
Yeah.
Perhaps when he said in the long run we are dead, who knows? He may be referring to the Congress party and its politics.
I think I should allow Sachin.
Before Imtiaz comes in,
But
there's a
I
third
need
thing. There's a third thing that
He
Kane
said.
said, which applies to all our political class.
Which is?
He says the difficulty lies not so much in developing new ideas as to getting rid of the bad old ones. Right?
Okay, I think that is a perfect note to end. I do have to
Barka,
end. This can go on.
Barka-
I have to go to the cyclone story now.
Barka, can I
please.
make one point, please?
Everybody will have to make one point, and I will be here. We will go. We will shoot over time. So, thanking our panel, Shekhar, Mahua, Sachin, Imtiaz, and Nalin. Thank you so much for joining us.